11 o'clock. So you can join us for 11 o'clock. The 11 o'clock news tonight on 11 Alive for the latest new track that will be coming out from the National Hurricane Center as well. We are also watching, not that far away, Hurricane Umberto. And what's really amazing is, the distance between these two systems is only about 500 miles distance. I was looking at all the numbers put together. There have only been about 10 other instances that have had shorter distances in between two named storms at the same time. So these are pretty close together. And therefore, when they get this close together, they can interact in a way. And we are going to see them make almost like a ballet move together over the next 48 hours with the direction that these two systems are going to move. But big picture, Imelda itself is north of the Bahamas at this point. But what's happening is there is a lot of moisture that is being carried aloft northward, and that is being stretched and strewn all the way up into the coast of the Carolinas, even the mid-Atlantic. That's not the center of Imelda itself, but it is the rain coming in advance. And I don't want to compare apples to apples because they were completely different storms, but last year we saw this kind of predecessor rain taking place before of Helene. It was very similar in a sense to where the storm was down in the southeastern Gulf, and we had all this moisture coming in advance of it, even though it wasn't Helene itself. So Imelda, totally different storm, totally different impacts, and the track is completely different as well. But what this is similar to Helene in a sense is just that rain the moisture being pulled north of it. And so that's why we're seeing all of this rain stretching throughout the Carolinas up into the mid-Atlantic today. And we could still see some of that moisture for tomorrow as well. Now, in North Georgia, we have seen clouds building in at times this afternoon. And now we're seeing some of that moisture getting pivoted back in our direction as well. So a couple of showers have moved in from the Carolinas to parts of North Georgia. But Imelda will not continue moving in a northward fashion. The direction that it's moving in is really going to change over the next 24 hours. We've got this stationary front along the coast. And big picture, it's actually, I'll zoom this out, a little upper level trough dip in the jet stream that's going to help to kick these two to the east. So these two systems right now have more of a northerly component to them. Imelda is moving due north. Umberto is moving due west-northwest. And that upper trough is going to kind of cut the northerly component down a little bit, so to speak. And it's going to make him move more to the east. So it's going to push him away from the United States. And if you had joined us at the end of last week and you were in on all of our live discussions and live forecast analysis, as we were showing you how spaghetti models had so many different solutions. Some of the models had it getting to the coast and stalling out. Some models had Imelda coming inland and to the west. Others had it having this easterly kick to the east. And that's the solution that ended up happening. And believe it or not, some of the models that picked up on that first, the Canadian and also the Google DeepMind model, the AI model, picked up on that, which is not looking at atmospheric conditions. That is just a model that is looking at straight up numbers of many years of data, other storms in that position, where would they move. It's just looking at number analysis, not atmospheric dynamics, and it picked up on it. So, it's something to watch, these AI models. But spaghetti models now are in really great agreement that we're just about done with this northerly push, and it's going to be much more of an easterly component to where Imelda moves. And this is kind of a big picture of how that would look on satellite and radar presentation if we did have radar over the middle of the ocean, which we don't. But you can see that stream of rain, the stream of showers. I'm going to put my pointer on the map here for you so you can see it. There's the moisture, okay? But the center of Imelda is down in here, and the center of Umberto is down in here. What's interesting is we have the winds around this one that are counterclockwise. This is a lower pressure, and in theory, Imelda is actually a higher pressure than Umberto. So these can interact in a fun way. But as they get kicked to the east, watch this forecast track between right now and tomorrow, okay? See how they just all of a sudden, by tomorrow morning, they have that kick to the east and they're done going just straight north. So we start to see that kick to the east. That will help us to cut off the influence of that moisture coming straight onto the coast. And then we see by Tuesday evening, Umberto is moving to the west, but closer towards Bermuda. And then as we get into Thursday time frame, Imelda could potentially move right over Bermuda. And that's where there is now a hurricane watch in effect, a hurricane watch. So Umberto is of course going to be close, and it's going to create some really gnarly waves and wind and all that. And if it's close enough, the rain action as well. But Imelda could move right over it. Now, what happens in the wake as Imelda and Umberto move to the east is that there's a pattern shift coming here in North Georgia. A little wedge of high pressure is building in. That's going to send northeasterly winds down to the mountains, which we already have those northeast wind components today. But by the time we fast forward to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that really drops the humidity with that northeast wind, and it brings us a totally different feeling outside. So it'll be refreshing here in North Georgia by the end of the week. I want to show you the 5 o'clock, well, this is the 8 o'clock update, but the cone of uncertainty is really hasn't changed since 5 o'clock today. So overnight or early tomorrow morning, becoming a Category 1 hurricane. A little bit of further strengthening possible. Now, as it gets close to Bermuda, it's going to pass right over where Umberto already moved over. So you'll notice here as we bring the winds up, they move up pretty quickly in here, and then they don't move up as quickly in here. It's because it's going to pass over water where we've already had upwelling from a previous tropical system. So we don't have as much warm, deep water, so that could kind of limit how quickly it strengthens a bit, but then could reach Category 2 strength by Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Here's Umberto. Now, it has remained a Category 4 hurricane. This thing rapidly intensified, becoming a major hurricane over the weekend, and it's remained in that major hurricane category through the last 48 hours. This is gradually going to weaken, though, a little bit. The waters get a little bit cooler. It's also not going to move in that dissimilar of an area to Aaron from several weeks ago. So anyways, we'll see this not staying a very big storm, just staying strong, and gradually we'll see those max winds coming down a bit over the next 24 hours, and then it keeps moving across the Atlantic. So that is Umberto, winds right now 140 miles per hour. Now, I mentioned how in North Georgia we'd see a pattern switch. This is our moisture map. This is showing you how we have very deep moisture around these tropical systems in that deep red orange color. The opposite end of the spectrum is this deeper blue and purple. So we're looking out in the Atlantic. There's Florida right there, and here's the Bahamas. You can see the moisture getting pulled away. Look at the colors changing on the map here in North Georgia and the Carolinas. As Imelda and Umberto move away and our wedge of cool air builds in, it really drops the humidity down pretty significantly for the end of the week and into the weekend. And I want to pull up for you our dew point graphic, because I actually think this would be really good to show today. This is going to show you the difference in how it's going to feel outside. We still have dew points in the 60s today, tomorrow, and I know it doesn't feel sticky outside per se, but it feels like there is moisture, right? You step outside, you can feel the moisture. As we go into Wednesday, the humidity will be dropping during the day, and then by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it is just absolutely refreshing outside. Feels really great. There's some models that even have us late Thursday and Friday with dew points in the mid 40s. That would be just the chef's kiss. It'd be so nice. It'd be really, really good. So humidity is going to drop, and what does this mean? Well, it also means that rain chances will drop along with that. So as we bring in the sunshine, the rain chances drop. That means our chance of rain starts to dwindle and get lower and lower. Next 7 days, this is really focused mostly on what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. Not a lot of additional rainfall. There's some along the coastline there in the Carolinas where we keep having these kind of training, feeding showers that are pushing on shore. Here in North Georgia, I mean, we can see a few showers throughout the day tomorrow, and I'll show you a forecast track on that. Once we get past then, it's going to be not until next Tuesday that I think we see our next Monday or so. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we see our next decent chance of some showers out there. And speaking of showers, there have been a few showers this evening on satellite imagery. It's very isolated in nature. We're not seeing a whole lot of that rain. Forecast track shows the few showers that are out there now will overall fade away. Now, Tuesday will start mostly dry, I think, but the showers will quickly pivot their way in from the Carolinas. So we'll see afternoon and evening isolated showers, and there could be a stray thunderstorm. I'm not going to rule that out if we break into a little hint of sunshine there. So that's showing you 5 o'clock on Tuesday, a couple of those showers coming in. By Wednesday, the drier air starts to rush its way in. That will clear the clouds out Wednesday afternoon, and we'll keep those brighter skies in the forecast for Thursday and Friday as well. I want to show you a different weather model. This is the high resolution rapid refresh model, the HRRR, for those who are not familiar with that. Forecast track as well shows a couple spotty showers this evening. As we get into Tuesday morning, your commute looks mostly dry. We're going to have some low clouds around. Then again, it also shows similar afternoon time frame. We get a few of those showers around. They last through sunset, and then that's about it of the higher moisture and chance of rain. Beyond that, we see the humidity dropping pretty significantly. Low temperatures tonight dropping down to the mid 60s here in the metro. It'll be a mild night overall, not very chilly outside, but with a light breeze, it still feels comfortable when you walk outside first thing Tuesday morning. And you know, there could be that stray sprinkle tomorrow morning, but I think that the better window will be in the afternoon for a few of those showers. Maybe a stray thunderstorm. It will all depend on that cloud cover. If we can thin the cloud cover out a bit, bring in some hints of sunshine and warm us up into the 80s, we have a better opportunity of one of those stray thunderstorms. If we stay kind of overcast for a lot of the day, much of this will just be shower activity. So we're going to be watching that Tuesday. High temperature 81 here in Atlanta, and we'll be running in the low 80s across the metro. Now, we have this northeast wind, so places east of Atlanta may not quite be as warm. We'll be looking at those highs running in the upper 70s for the day on Tuesday. And I'll just show you the severe weather outlook. I mean, there's that area in far north Georgia where they're highlighting that potential for a thunderstorm, but none of those storms would be severe in nature or probably even intense in nature. I think most of this is going to be on the less intense side of things. As we bring in more sunshine, Wednesday will pop up to the low and mid 80s, and then the drier air and cooler air really starts to filter in. That's going to break us into the 70s for highs Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. What is so great about this fall taste in the air that's moving in at the end of the week is that it's also going to drop the morning lows down to really comfortable levels. I'm showing you right now morning lows for Atlanta. The outlying suburbs could be up to 5 degrees cooler than that. And then the mountains could be closer to 7 to 8 degrees cooler than that. So we could be down with some upper 40s to right around 50 degrees at the end of the week and start of the weekend up in the North Georgia mountains. That will feel lovely outside if you're heading there to catch some fall foliage. Of course, we're still several weeks away, almost a month away from the peak up there. But if you're heading there for some apple picking or maybe Helen Oktoberfest, or just going to enjoy Ellijay, Dahlonega. There's so much to do up there. So many beautiful sights and hiking you can do. That weather to start the weekend is just perfect for hiking. So tomorrow's still pretty mild, but by the start of the weekend, you notice those lows are dropping down to the 60s and 50s. Remember those outlying suburbs. You know, suburbs of Atlanta could be 5 degrees cooler than that. Then the mountains could be even a few degrees cooler than that. So we'll have some good spread in those temperatures to start the weekend. Here's your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, tracking some isolated showers and maybe a rumble of thunder out there. The timeline of that, there could be a few spotty showers in the morning, but I think much of what we'll see on your Wednesday is going to be in the afternoon and evening. We'll hit a high of 81 degrees. Wednesday, brighter skies moving in, high of 83. The breeze that trickles in from the north and east is going to drop the humidity later in the week, drop the temperatures as well. That'll drop us down to the mid and upper 70s Thursday and Friday. Those morning lows dropping into the 50s. And you know, there is a little bit of a switch coming by the start of next week. It looks like moisture comes in again off of the Atlantic, not in the form of a tropical system, just moisture in general, and that could bring better rain chances our way by Sunday night, but more likely it's probably Monday. So I think as of now, your weekend, the rain chance is looking overall pretty low. There's a very low chance that Sunday could be impacted by a few spotty showers. The better rain chance will kick off the following work week.
Well, it is National Preparedness Month, not only here in Georgia, but all around the country. And if you've been watching us here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7, you know we've been talking to a lot of emergency managers here around the metro area and North Georgia, just to talk about some of the intricacies between different counties and different ways that people need to be aware of in their county of how to stay safe, not only for severe weather, but also for any types of emergencies that can happen in your area. Joining us right now is Michael Shaw. He is the Director of Emergency Management up in Gwinnett County. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
All right, Michael, as the Director of Emergency Management, is that something that you aspired to do as you were growing up? Like one day I want to be an emergency manager? Or what is it that kind of got you into this role?
So I actually started my career as a first responder. I was a paramedic firefighter for Gwinnett County. As I had gotten into the first responder, just the career, I had learned more about emergency management as a particular path, and something about it just it clicked with me. Just being able to see how entire communities can address these low frequency, high impact events together, so that not only are they responding appropriately and responding together, but hopefully responding in a way that ultimately makes the community stronger in the future.
That's really interesting. And what is it about Gwinnett County? Is there anything about it that makes it unique? And what types of emergency situations do you have to be aware of? Of course, we all know about severe weather, but are there any other things that maybe other than weather that you have to deal with in helping to keep your community safe?
So Gwinnett County is incredibly unique. I mean, it has a huge multicultural element to it. So we have a number of people that we interact with on a daily basis, that they have different language sets, different beliefs, different daily lives, that they go out and you work with them in unique ways. Additionally, we have one of the largest school systems in the country, so obviously that plays a huge impact on how we approach emergencies, the stakeholders that we interact with, and the decisions that get made on a daily basis to prepare for, respond to, and recover from these large-scale events. We obviously have major highway systems. We have train systems. We have an airport. All of those things are elements that contribute to how a community deals with their large emergencies. So definitely Gwinnett has a little bit of everything.
And how do you deal with the fact you mentioned all the nationalities and all the different languages in Gwinnett County? How does that challenge here when you're trying to communicate that safety information when there might be some folks who don't understand exactly what's going on?
So there's always the question that you're asking. You're asking who have we reached out to, and who might we be forgetting about? And part of that is utilizing the technological resources that we have available to us. Our county website is a communication platform that we lean on very heavily. It has translational capabilities. We utilize just the stakeholders that we are messaging, and lean on them to share. So when we send out that message, we are asking some of our stakeholders to relay that message to your partners, your community members that are part of those cultural and community groups. So understanding that there's not necessarily one direct path that solves that issue, but recognizes that everybody owns a small component of the solution, and helps that it becomes even more evident with a multicultural community like Gwinnett.
And there's so many things that people just don't really think about. You know, you have to think about the ways to communicate and make sure that everybody gets that message. So there are different types of things and emergencies that you guys have to deal with in Gwinnett County. But here specifically as meteorologist, I wanted to talk to you about severe weather. And I have on the map behind me here, I know this is kind of hard to see, but this is a map of Gwinnett County and just some of the surrounding areas. But all of the dots that are on this map are some of the creeks and streams that we really have to keep an eye on when we're dealing with heavy rain and also flooding. So, Michael, what are the bigger concerns that you have? I know that some of these creeks and streams are bigger than others, and some of them are more flood prone than others. What are the main ones that you look at, and what areas do you think that people need to be aware of with these creeks, streams, and rivers in their communities?
So yeah, obviously we have a lot of creeks and streams throughout the county. We as the first responder groups are obviously aware of the ones that tend to be uh, cause issues or present challenges for our groups. Within our office, our Office of Emergency Management, our duty officer is obviously paying attention to some of those key areas. Um, and making our public safety groups aware of those kinds of things. But really, a lot of the work is coming before that. So even if we know it's maybe not hitting until middle of the night, we're notifying our stakeholders, our DOT groups, to say, hey, would you mind checking out those areas, make sure that there's not extra debris that may cause clogs, things like that, that may cause trouble. Additionally, we're letting those first responder groups know so that they can make those additional preparations to say, okay, we know the rain's coming, we know the weather event is potentially impacting us. It might be good to go ahead and have some sort of incident action plan put into place so that you can put crews to block off the road or to help direct traffic, or if it is a community where that has those residential areas, we're letting those people know that, hey, we are seeing something come our way, and we're letting people know as soon as possible. The best kind of response is before the emergency actually occurs.
And you know, we've zoomed in just a little bit tighter here to this map, and you can see again all those dots that are there. And you know, just the ones off the top of my head, you've got the Chattahoochee River up that comes out of the dam there at Buford Dam. That you need to keep an eye on. The Alcovy River, we've got the Yellow River. We occasionally have some flooding issues there too. For people who live near those creeks and streams and rivers, now it's our job, our responsibility as meteorologists here at 11 Alive to let people know about the flood watches and the flood warnings. But if you live in a flood-prone area, and I know you were talking about getting the word out to people before that happens, is there any way that folks who live along those rivers and creeks and streams that they can get even more information? Like, are there triggers on the river gauges there that if the water gets to a certain level that might automatically call or alert the people in those communities that, hey, we're getting to a high level, you need to be aware?
So one of the things that we do offer weather radios, and we recommend weather radios for some of those areas for that might be prone, because the National Weather Service and NOAA, they do send out those kinds of message once those thresholds have been met. Just because they tend to be in those lower lying areas, and they could see that genuine impact on their own households that maybe don't rise to the level of a community-wide emergency. They certainly have the reason or the reason to pay extra attention for those kinds of things.
Were you in Gwinnett when we had the big floods all around Atlanta? I believe that was 2009 when we had the big floods. Were you there at that point?
In 2009, I actually joined the county in 2010, so,
Okay,
I missed it by a year, but I definitely am well aware of it and saw many of the photographs and the after-action reports for that. Absolutely devastating for parts of the community.
And it was in Gwinnett County when we heard about the first fatality from those floods. You know, we had the floods all in the west metro counties, really all over, with that very intense heavy rain that we had. It was on a Sunday night going into Monday morning, and it was Gwinnett County where we heard of the first fatality that happened there. It was overnight, a lady driving over a bridge, and it took her car, the water was overtaking it, it took her car into that. So that was always one of those things so impactful to me as we were there on Sunday night telling people about this heavy rain and warning people about it. And then the next morning when I woke up, I heard about this fatality, and it just really impacted me. Like, what could I have said differently that maybe could have prevented this fatality? So we know that flooding, of course, is a big issue. And then, Michael, of course, severe thunderstorms and tornadoes here. Do you think there's anything unique about Gwinnett County in getting that information out? And I wanted to also ask, does Gwinnett County have tornado outdoor sirens?
I'll answer the second part first. Regarding tornado sirens, that's actually a technology that less and less communities have relied on. There's a few of our cities within Gwinnett County that still maintain tornado sirens on their own. So it's very possible you will hear them if you're close enough to the city proper. But instead of tornado sirens, the county opts to go with wireless emergency alerts and cell phone-based technologies. A lot of the reasoning for that is because of the limitations of tornado sirens. As construction tends to favor more soundproof buildings and soundproofing your vehicles, things like that, they're just less effective. And we certainly aren't going to ask people to be outside during these events when these alarms are going off. So that's something that we as a county don't rely on heavily, but we do see them within some of the cities that currently get some use. And I'm sorry, what was the first question?
Just as far as severe weather and tornadoes, anything unique about Gwinnett County? I know you had mentioned it's the largest school system in the state of Georgia, and just communicating to people if severe weather is happening, maybe at the time when the buses are being loaded, or more likely when buses are bringing the kids home and stuff. How do you handle stuff like that with such a large school district to deal with?
So a lot of that is really, like I said, the earlier we can have these conversations, the better. The school system, obviously, whether they are going to close the schools or switch to a digital learning day, they'd much rather do that before kids have even arrived. The whole busing operations to get people home earlier is a huge undertaking for them. So the best case scenario for everybody within the county is for us to give them as much notice as possible, as much updated information as possible. So that's why when we get any kind of notification that there's a potential for severe weather, we're starting those conversations a week out, 5 days out, as much notice as possible, and giving those kinds of updates as frequently as possible, so that the people that are in charge of making those kinds of decisions have as much time as possible and as much current information that we can possibly provide them.
And Michael, our nightmare is winter weather, and whether or not it's going to snow or whether or not we're going to have ice. And that communication, you guys are all involved with that communication, most likely connecting with the National Weather Service as well. And then do you communicate that to the folks in the school district?
Absolutely. So one of the things that has become a standard practice for our counties is that whenever the National Weather Service has any of their special weather briefings, we'll view that in our Emergency Operations Center and invite all of our partners so that we are getting as much of that information at the same time, which is great. But then we get to have a conversation afterward with everybody in the same room saying, okay, we all saw the same thing. What are you thinking? Because when it comes down to it, if we have the school systems that are considering switching over to a digital learning day, that's obviously going to impact every parent that has a child in that school system, because now they're thinking of okay, how am I handling the childcare elements of that? So being able to make those decisions in the same room and have that kind of collaboration to how we're going to spearhead and get ahead of the issue is invaluable as a county.
And Michael, just one last question here. Any other words that you would like to tell your residents, anybody that's watching us in Gwinnett County, about what they need to be thinking of and what they can do to stay safe in your county?
Sure, absolutely. There's really going to be four things that I would recommend. It's one, know your risks. We as a county, we publish our hazard identification on our county website, so you can always look and see any kind of updates that are related to that, as well as additional information and considerations for each of those risks. The second thing is going to be to make a family emergency plan. Figure out what makes sense for your family, whether that is having loved ones come and pick you up to take you away from the additional risk, or having some sort of exit strategy, making sure that you have all of your very specific needs for your family, those kinds of things. Third thing would be to build that kit. So in the event that you are, we do see that winter weather event, that you have everything you need to weather the storm. And then last is to get involved with your community. We have a lot of great volunteer organizations throughout our community that do a lot of great work that relate to emergency preparedness, that I strongly recommend residents and citizens of Gwinnett County look at some of those groups and find ways to get involved.
All right, Michael Shaw in Gwinnett County, Director of Emergency Management. Thank you so much for enlightening us about your job and about your community and what you're doing to help to keep Gwinnett County residents safe. And good luck to you in the future. I'm sure we'll be in more communication with you in the future as well. Thanks for joining us, Michael Shaw.
Absolutely. Thank you.